All right, we're back for a brief moment. We're going to jump to the lines really quick. We got a caller. Caller 765-393. Do you have a comment or a question, or are you just listening?
This is Kane.
Hey, what's going on, Kane?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. It's been oh, Lord Jesus. It's been about a month since we've been back, been on the air, but we're back on. We just took a little break and stuff like that. And this evening, we're just going to jump in with a lot of things that have been going on globally and locally. Michael Snyder, he will be in around 11:15 because he has some insider information about the tornadoes that hit the southern Indiana region as well as the Kentucky region. And I was just wondering, did you have any thoughts on that or anything that's been going on in the local news or media? Because I know we're going to be talking about that, and also we're going to be talking about things that are going on in politics, including the whole Rush Limbaugh, I guess I wouldn't say scandal, but the situation involving him and the whole contraception, debate and stuff of that nature. Do you have anything to add to that, or are you just listening at the moment?
Well, first I want to say my heart goes out to the people that were affected by the tornadoes in southern Indiana and Kentucky. But the main reason I was calling in was about the whole Rush Limbaugh controversy.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that his comments are reprehensible.
Right.
And his apology is shallow.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Sandra Fluke said, his apology seems to be influenced by his sponsors, his corporate sponsors. How sincere are his apologies? I just don't accept his apologies as sincere. What do you think?
Yes, and I kind of felt like that as well, because we're going to get to that story later on in the evening, because I have some clips that I'm going to play on the show later on. But to me, like you mentioned it, and we see this pattern so many times, like when people get, I guess they get on air or they get on these radio or TV programs and they make these comments, and then it's only when they have to suffer the consequences from, like so many times, like we've seen countless examples of this where sponsors start to pull out and they start to lose support. That's when they want to make an apology. And we know how Rush Limbaugh is. Like, he is one of those people that's stubborn, and when he makes a statement, he stands by it. Like, you rarely hear him make an apology about anything. So to me, with that being said, I really think, like you said, like they always say, money talks and, the rest of the saying. But, when you're dealing with sponsors and you're dealing with money and things of that nature, sometimes you have to do what they call damage control. You have to sometimes you have to retract what you say in order to cut back on the damage that you made. And to me, I really feel that that's the only reason that he's apologizing. I mean, you can't tell me that you made that that's not a slip of the tongue. Like, you made that intentional statement. And we're going to get to that a little later about that, because I'm going to read the actual apology or whatever if you want to consider that on air. But I really think that people really need to look past that, because that's very superficial and shallow. And who's to say if he even wrote that apology himself? You know what I'm saying? Who knows?
Right.
So,
yeah, it could have been written by his damage control team, his agent or whatever.
right.
Maybe he just doesn't stand behind it. He's just saying it. It's just so superficial. I just cannot buy it.
And
Sandra Fluke, she said the same thing. She said, Rush, you apologize, but don't buy it.
Right. And usually the public, and it just another thing that bothers me, like, they don't want to give the public more credit than what's due. Like, I mean, people aren't dumb. Like, people can see past that. Like, they can see past, and they can see that was very superficial and very shallow on his end. And and the public knows when you're sincere and when you're not. Like, it's not, doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
he's kind of like an elitist.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like an elitist point of view. I said something, or I am sorry, I apologize, blah, 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 and there's this article I'm reading here where Bill Maher is saying that liberals need to get beyond it. But do we need to get beyond that? I mean, come on. I mean, we're having this whole conversation about companies, insurance companies and whatnot, providing contraception, whether they philosophically agree with it or not, So, I mean, I don't know, what do you think?
Well, I think as far as the the issue dealing with contraceptives, I think it's in the best interest that we do offer that to people, because I mean to women, because like the whole argument being centered on too as well, it's just not to prevent pregnancy, because contraceptives or like birth control and things of that nature are used for other medical issues as well. So we have to kind of look past that superficial. We have to look past that superficial argument and look deeper into the situation and realize that these are things that are used for other things. And even if people are using that just for means of birth control, I mean, wouldn't you rather them use that as a preventative measure instead of like with people bringing forth children that they really don't want? You see what I'm saying? So
it's not an issue about people being promiscuous.
Mm-hmm.
We have people, young couples that married or not married, but they are in a committed relationship. But because of the economic situation, they just cannot afford to have children. It's just not economically feasible.
Right.
So contraception is a good, solution so that these people, these couples that are, in committed relationships can, express their love for each other without having to worry about, at least at this moment, financial burden, which children could bring to them. And this whole thing that Rush Limbaugh and a number of the other candidates are bringing up about with this issue it's I don't know, it's just
right.
It doesn't work.
Right.
What they are talking about, it just doesn't work in the real world. If, let's say, you or I want to have a committed relationship with a woman, and we are in love, we get married, but we just cannot afford because, we're working at Walmart or or some other job that is paying minimum wage, we cannot afford a child. So
Right.
we have to have options until at that point when we can afford to raise a child.
As far as that goes, if they're, I figure, what day and age are we living in? The majority of people that I would bet you, the majority of people that are either high school, college, and even post-college that are more concerned about their career than they are trying to be in a position maybe to start a family, are using some form of birth control. I mean, it's just a fact in the United States. If they can get this through a drug plant, let them do it. Who cares? That's just kind of on it.
I live in Anderson, Indiana, and the sad fact is that teen pregnancy is rampant.
Yep.
You go to a grocery store to buy a condom or whatever. You have to go to the counter and ask someone to come out from that counter and unlock a glass case to give you the contraception that you're choosing.
Okay.
It's here in Anderson. It's very confused. I mean, even you go to the high school prom, they have daycare. It's so ridiculous.
Well, I think I've mentioned this on this show before, but I'm familiar with Anderson, very familiar with it. And that does not surprise me. That does not surprise me. I mean, I'm a little shocked to hear that it's that way, but in all honesty, I'm not surprised given the town. That town is, I don't know if this is even the right term for it, but I want to say ultra-conservative minded. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very conservative society here, yes.
They're very, that's just how that town is. And which that's a shame for people that are in that position that want those things, when you could go to many different places and not have to go through that kind of a hassle. And that's really kind of disheartening to hear that it's, because, if anyone has ever had to buy a contraceptive or buy condoms, do you want somebody breathing down your neck when you're doing it? You just want to go there and, and you can see people, if you even go to your local Walmart, you can see people that are doing it. It's like they run up to it and they get it and they throw it in their cart and they cover it with something else and they take off. So help me God, I've seen it. And I just chuckle. I'm thinking, hey, buddy, guy, girl, whatever the case is, you're protecting yourself. There is nothing wrong with that. It seems to me like it's completely, I don't know, it's like, why I realize why he's apologizing, because he is losing money and he is losing sponsors. But I don't see it as a genuine apology, and I don't really think that anyone else does either. I think everybody...
I also wanted to make a couple of points.
I agree.
Too. I wanted to make a couple of points, too, because I listened to on YouTube a news organization called the Young Turks, and they made a good Shank Uger. He's one of the correspondents on there. He made a good point to where just pointing out the hypocrisy of Limbaugh, and just how he can sit there and call her a slut and say that and wants to put that argument of contraceptives on, saying all the insurance payers shouldn't have to pay for that, but yet you, first of all, were addicted to prescription drugs. And then on top of that, it's been well known that you've gone and traveled different places, and I know you picked up prostitutes, and you used, from what I've heard, on record, Viagra and different things of that nature. So I'm wondering, for your extracurricular activities, insurance. I'm sure they're paying for that.
Yeah.
So why is it a double standard? Like women can't get contraceptives, but you can use Viagra. Or you can dabble with prescription drugs. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's the hypocrisy there is just like it's just amazing.
Well, let's bypass the whole issue with Rush Limbaugh's drug addiction, and let's talk about the issue that is more important. Indiana is, placing limits on Planned Parenthood and whatnot. What we are talking about with that is the issue with women's health. And not just women, but men also.
Exactly.
It's a health issue. Again, I want to...
looking at Indiana law and Indiana politics, they don't change anything here, and they refuse to upgrade and they refuse to move into a modern society unless the federal government crams it down their throat.
Well, again, I want to express how important issues regarding Planned Parenthood and contraceptives are. We have some people that want to start a family, but they can't start a family now because of economic issues. Maybe you're working at McDonald's, Walmart, or whatever. You just cannot afford a family, but you still want to have relations with your partner. So,
I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. But hey, politics. I guess that's how they want to do it.
Right.
And somehow they. I don't know. All I can say is it doesn't surprise me, but it's sad. It really is kind of sad that, it's like, why does it have to be a big deal? If the insurance companies are going to cover it or not, I would think that the insurance company would probably, just the way I'm thinking here, and hey, I could be wrong, but I think if I was an insurance company, I would rather pay for the contraception than have to pay for pregnancy care, screening tests, blood work, delivery, hospital. I'm pretty sure that that's going to add up to be more than the contraceptive is.
I am a licensed insurance provider in Indiana, and that's not gonna fly with insurance companies.
What's not going to fly with them?
The bottom line with insurance companies, they want to provide you with insurance companies, they're making a bet. They're hedging their financial
wager.
Yeah, wager with your life, your health, and whatnot, and pregnancy does not figure into that.
So from your point of view, let me ask you this. So you just mentioned the fact that you are a licensed insurance agent. So from your point of view, would it be more cost efficient for women to to take preventative measures or use birth control methods, or would it be more cost-effective for them not to?
It's more, you can make more money if the woman has a child, because then that would encourage people to take an insurance policy out on that child. So you...
Okay.
Are you saying that this is a deeper issue, like than what's being presented on the surface?
I'm sorry,
Hello?
what were you saying?
Do you feel that this is a deeper issue then than how it appears on the surface?
Oh, yeah, of course. It goes deeper, of course.
Okay.
So
again, it goes back to it basically being a financial investment.
But and I'm not trying to, hate, and I don't want to like try to do Republican bashing, but isn't that always, when we get down to it, that's the bottom line? It's not really about a morality issue. It's about profit. Really, I think that's not even really necessarily a Republican issue. That's a politics issue, period. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I don't know if that's a politics issue. I think it's just a basic issue with the human condition. The human condition oftentimes is put down to the dollar. How much are you worth?
Well, because it seems to me from what I'm hearing, what I'm understanding, if the insurance company can make more money because there's a child and then this is another person on the policy and then they're going to make money, if that's the case, and then that would explain why the insurance companies don't want to pay for the contraception. And then that would explain why the politics of it is so big, because probably the insurance companies are lobbying for the against it.
I think there's a difference between the politics and the economy of the insurance companies. Of course, the insurance companies have, and the medical business have, a huge lobby interest in Washington.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's without saying, that's obvious. But yeah, I think some of what you said is true, that insurance companies, they want to protect their interests.
Now, do you think that this is something that probably, given your point of view from what you're familiar with, do you think that this is something that's like behind-the-scenes work that I would say the general public doesn't know about?
I think the general public knows something about this. Let's not assume that the general public is stupid. People know what's going on. There is some ignorance, and by ignorance I mean not educated or not, don't know. Ignorance doesn't mean stupidity.
Right. I'm saying I'm 33 years old. I'm quite familiar, college educated and quite familiar with how insurance policies work, but it never occurred to me that if they are in a position to gain money from possibly you having a child, it never occurred to me to make that connection.
Well, yeah.
And I didn't think about it. And then when you present this, I'm like, well, I guess you got a point there. You really do.
Well, of course. I mean,
and
a company has a vested interest in selling more policies.
Yeah. But it's a connection I, as a member of the general public, wouldn't have made. I wouldn't have thought about it.
And like you said, you got to think of it. This is a corporation. Like insurance, they're in the business of making money. It's not even about necessarily even. I hate to say this, even helping people or curing people from diseases. Like I've mentioned before, like if they can prolong an illness but treat you for it, then that's what they're all about. I believe that. I really feel that.
And I'm sure you're probably right when it comes down to the bottom dollar of it.
Well, the whole thing with insurance, in the insurance company that I worked with, they tried to instill, we're helping people, but at the same time, bring the money in. Help people, bring the money in. Help people, bring the money in.
Sure.
Where is the difference? How are you helping people and still bringing the money in?
Right.
Yeah. There's going to be a thin line in there at some point.
Exactly.
And, personally, I have a pretty good insurance, and I'm speaking in terms of health insurance. I've got pretty good health insurance at my job. I can't complain about it. I really can't. And being a single male, I certainly have no idea if contraception is covered under that policy. I have no clue. But, again, it's not going to be something that I'm going to have to worry about, obviously. But, it makes sense, though, what you're saying. And I just wonder if would be willing to bet that the majority of the general public has no idea of that connection between the ideologies.